Hey, good morning. This is Joe from Citrus County Porch Life, bringing you a daily word for men for March 29th, 2025, and that is a Saturday. And I am actually recording this on the very first Kindle I got. It's got like 2 gigabytes of storage, 16 gigabytes of storage, and I threw a 64 gigabyte card in there. That's the limit. This is an old one, and it's like about the size of a paperback book. So when I read my ebooks, I like to use this. So the word for today, the daily word for men for today is, I resolved to know nothing while I was with you except Jesus Christ and Him crucified. I came to you in weakness and fear and with much trembling. That is from 1 Corinthians 2, verses 2 through 3, the NIV. And here's the commentary. A new wave has crashed society into change. This generation is not looking for leaders who are experts and who have it all together. They want leaders who are authentic. It's hard for leaders who are trained for generations to demonstrate other traits, learning self-control and authority. But so much failure of these same leaders has led to a generation crying out for authenticity. Let us see your mistakes and learn from them. Let us work together and learn together, and you can inspire us. It is a shift enabling more transparency, but it has also loosened morality. We are broken people, and our leadership is doomed to failure. Jesus was authentic. He was sincere, realistic, trustworthy, faithful, and dependable. This is how we sharpen who we are, by following His example and living in the same manner. Jesus was not ashamed because He lived out who He was, and His leadership was genuine. We don't need another leader to fail. No man should be exalted that much anyway. We need Jesus. His leadership is perfect. Well, what aspects of authenticity do you value? This is kind of a tough subject, at least in my mind, because I'm parsing every single word and trying to figure out, is this author saying that the old leaders were no good and we need a new type? My argument is, until Christ comes, every leader is going to fail. We seem to be on this system. I mean, it's right in the Bible. You had the Assyrians, the Egyptians, you had Nebuchadnezzar. I'm trying to think of Babylon, Greece, Rome, all on this conquest policy, and all of them eventually failing. And then you have in our time, the British controlling 1/4 of the world, and their empire ultimately falling. And I don't know. I personally don't think being authentic, whatever that really means, and being genuine. I'm sure Chamberlain was genuine when he thought that was enough for Hitler, and it wasn't. So I really don't know how to interpret it, and I may be wrong. I'm wrong quite often, but I'll give you what aspects of authenticity do you value? Well, one of the things I learned in nursing school is we deal with people where they are. You don't give a college lecture to people that have a third grade level of understanding. You don't give a third grade lecture to people that are more advanced. You want to give them as much information, correct information, as you can possibly give. So sometimes people are accused of not being authentic because they speak in different ways to different people, and I can actually see the value of that. You say the same truth, but you speak it in different ways, and Christ was like that. Absolutely like that. He spoke to us in parables. His parables were authentic, but he knew that people would not be able to understand the deep, deep truths that he was proclaiming if he gave a college lecture. Not that they had colleges back then, but they did study at the synagogues and temples. There was only one temple. And so, I don't know, I don't like to get into hyperbole, but I think that no matter what we do, whatever leaders we have, just like the world, just like ourselves, we confess, we say, won't sin anymore, and of course we do. And leaders will say, well, we'll get together and we'll straighten that problem out, and each is looking for their own interest, and it's just, this is the way the world has been. I mean, going all the way back. So I take the Old Testament, look at it, and say, we haven't changed. We can't say because a guy gets up in a nice suit and can say a few sweet words to people. And when I was a little kid, I'll give you an example of authentic. This was the guy running for mayor in Providence. My grandmother lived in a high-rise on the 7th floor, and the guy for mayor was going to visit her. Now, the ward chairmans back in those days, they knew everything about everyone. So he gave the candidate for mayor a prep about everything about my grandmother. And he walked in like he knew her, and she was so impressed that he could remember her kids and everything, and he just heard it outside the door before he went in. They didn't know who I was. I was just standing around, and they probably figured out a stupid kid. He doesn't know what we're talking about. But I didn't. I picked up on that very, very quickly. And so the guy who presented himself as so authentic, so concerned about my grandma, didn't know her from a hole in the wall. So I'm very, very leery of people saying that I'm authentic. I try to be, but I fail at that. Authentic to what? I try to stay authentic to the gospel, and that's about it. And I am what I am. You see me here, and no bells and whistles. And so that's all I'm going to say at it, because sometimes with this author of this, I'm not, he's got a different mindset than I do, and some of the things I have a hard time grasping what he's asking in a question. And that's probably my fault, because I'm so technical, and I want everything to come together just right with my mind. But so have a safe and holy day, and we will talk to you tomorrow.